different ways we can end up in this position where Tim's got his knee through and I have the underhook. One is that we might have been in the dogfight and Tim's managed to knock me back down and I end up in this position from there. We could have been in the knee shield position and Tim's lifted his knee up like that, okay? And I've gone for the underhook from there. It could be that I had the underhook with the knee on the inside and then Tim's either stood up and put his knee over the top like this, or sometimes I'll force it when he lifts his knee. So we go back, sometimes he'll start standing to defend on this leg and I'll scissor my legs to force this underhook knee cut position as well. I can get here from when Tim passes to side control, but I have the underhook. So I have the underhook and he gets outside my legs. I'm keeping close to him, knee in the butt, grab the foot, pull it through, and we're now underhook knee cut position, ready to do the Jedi mind trick. I can force this position from reverse de la Hiva. When Tim's standing, I can be pushing away. I grab my around the leg, knee behind the elbow here, and I force his knee down to the mat. And then we get into the underhook from there. And that can also happen from the seated guard too. So could be standing, catch the seated guard, I force his knee down, and I get my knee cut underhook position from there. All right, there's a few ways we can end up in this reverse half guard position too. One of them might be that we had the knee cut underhook like this, and then Tim decided to backstep. It was too late to catch the Jedi mind trick, and he's in the reverse half guard now. Another one, we might have been standing in the seated guard, and Tim backsteps from here, okay? And we can end up in the reverse half guard from that. Or another way is actually from either the waiter sweep or deep half guard. So anytime I'm like right underneath the legs here, he can bring his hips over the top of my head like this, and we're now again in the reverse half guard from here. So that's how we might end up in this position. Obviously we need to have a few good attacks from there. All right, so we're working now this position where I've got the underhook and Tim's freed his knee, or sometimes he hasn't freed his knee, sometimes I actually forced this position because there's a lot of good attacks I can do from here. And we're also going to cover the backstep, which is, this is the position Tim needs to get to before he considers backstepping. Generally, if he's inside my half guard, he doesn't really want to try to backstep here. It's not so effective unless he frees his knee. Okay, so he wants to free his knee and then he can potentially go to backstep. Okay, so let's go through just some of my options from here. I can be trying to get up to the dogfight position here. Okay. Possibly, especially if Tim starts to stand up, I can start coming to a single leg. And I can also start to force the Jedi mind trick, okay, which is where we start to take the back, as well as some backstep options. There's heaps of options depending how late you are to the backstep.
Yep.
So I'm here in the knee cut and Tim's got the underhook like this. Now, what are my options from here? Most common thing to try to do is to either post the hands on the mat and backstep, which can put me in the backstep position, or can allow me to enter leg locks, or can allow me to pummel an underhook and come back with my own underhook to pass. It is possible, if I get the chance, that I try and take turn a bit, my right knee across towards 3/4 mount. And I can still potentially, it's possible that I pass the guard if I get to control Tim's elbow here. Sometimes both hands underneath and sliding through like that. If I can stop him being able to turn with this elbow, I can potentially still pass. So we need to be aware of those when we're doing our attacks. All right, so positioning here like this. I don't want Tim to get outside my legs if I don't have good control. So what I might have to do immediately, possibly for a moment, is to pinch my knees together. But if I get good control, I don't have to do this. My right hand is going to hold on to Tim's knee, and my left hand is going to hold on to the hip, and I'm going to put a lot of pressure tight with my chest against Tim's thigh. Okay, so if Tim tries to slide his knee out, he's not going to be able to do that. Okay, once I have this positioning, actually I should quickly talk about my elbow first as well. I don't want to be up on this arm. I don't want Tim to be able to pull that elbow out. Pull it towards you. Yeah, this is not going to be good for me if he controls this. Okay, so once I'm up on this elbow, I want to control here, tuck my elbow underneath me here like this. If I've got my chest tight and all these grips, I actually don't care if Tim tries to pass to side control. Go. Go. Pass to side control. Spin your leg around. Yeah. So, again, because I'm so attached to the side of his leg and his hips, if he swivels his feet to try to go to side control, he's going to pull me up on top. Okay, so I'm going to get the body lock and go towards the back. Before I have good control though, so maybe if I was here and I didn't have all my grips quite how I wanted them, I am quite worried about him freeing that leg. So I am going to pinch the knees together, but that does open me up to the back step. So a key concept in defending the back step is I have to stay on my right side, on the same, also my right side, the side that I'm facing originally, okay? So no matter how early in the back step I am or how late I am, I still want to try to stay on my right side. So Tim can back step, and I want to be here. It allows me to pummel my hooks and use my legs well, which is going to be much more effective. As soon as I commit to this way, Tim starts to get a good chance to control, and I lose my ability to get hooks. The other concept is I really don't want his hips to land on this side of my hips. I want to keep his hips in front of me. So when Tim tries to back step, I always want to keep Tim's hips in front of me like this. Yeah. First move I'm going to do, if I get a good grip here, good grip around the hip, I'm going to take my knee up behind Tim's hips. And I'm going to bump him forward. So he can be trying to get his grips all he wants. I'm going to bump him forward. And then from there, I keep him forward. And I start to get up into the dog fight. Potentially he doesn't even have any grips, so there's a high chance I end up right on the back with the body lock. One thing to notice with this bump is that I often do, like when I go to bump, I will tend to like pull my head away a bit as I do it. It just gives me extra power to bump behind the hips. Sometimes you don't have the right angle. If you're too far forward, you can't get a good bump, so you can pull the head away, block the knee, block the shin with the knee, and we come up. Yep. Sometimes we'll be in this position and Tim will attempt something similar to like a weave pass. So he's actually going to weave around my arm and in front of my bottom leg like this, yeah, like that, okay? And this can be like hard. You can see I don't have the positioning now to pull back to the Jedi Mind Trick. But Tim's quite stretched out here. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to remove his hand from being there just by sitting up. So I'm going to let go of the leg for a moment and I'm going to sit up into him. See how his hand's gone from my leg now? Now I can tighten my underhook. And now it's really hard, because I've got everything tight, I'm pulling my chest tight, it's really, really difficult for Tim to regain that control. Okay, but sometimes that can happen, especially when you first enter. You're entering into this position, and as you're doing that, Tim's weaving, he gets here, okay? So all I do, sit up high. He's lost his, using my right hand, he's lost his hand positioning. I come back nice and tight, and we're ready to go for our attack. Yep. We can force the Jedi Mind Trick. So what I'm going to do, same grips, chest nice and tight behind the, attached to the leg. I open my leg so that my knee's behind the hips. This is really important because we're going to have to avoid the back step into the saddle. I'm going to bump Tim forward, but as soon as I bump forward, I'm going to look to pull his hip back this time. So instead of trying to bump forward and get up, I'm gonna bump forward and pull back with my left hand. You see that tilts Tim up? I'm gonna get a hook in here like this. Close to the knee, but my knee has to be on the outside. Let's have a look at this. Okay. My knee's on the outside like this. Okay. So again, knee on the outside. I'm gonna remove my head from behind Tim. Let's say his hand's blocking my head, then I kick up and make his post go higher. Now I can remove my head. My right hand, move. My right hand is going to push, and I get my right hook in. From here, both hands to the hips, or one to the back and the hips, and I extend Tim down with my left hook and my arms. And we'll get the back. Another option, gripping option, if you feel you can, is to block this tricep. Okay. But I usually like to push this leg first because it lets me get the hook, block the tricep, and that stops Tim from being able to face me. So push him down and take the back. So one common problem is Tim's gonna backstep, or I'm gonna force him to backstep. I go to do the Jedi mind trick, but my head gets stuck from this arm. Okay, so I go to backstep Tim. I catch this, but his arm's in the way of this head. Okay, now ideally I can remove that earlier, but even from here, the way I'm gonna get rid of that, I'm not gonna like try and grab the arm and move it because I lose too much control. I want to stay in control here. I'm going to use my left hook to bring his hips forward. So look at this gap now. Can't get my head through. Lift. Now my head comes through. So I'm actually just moving his shoulder further forward by lifting with this hook. Okay. Now I can get out the back and start to finish the technique. Okay. A bit earlier on. Like I'm hoping actually, especially when I force the Jedi mind trick, if I can bump knee Tim in the butt, it does the same thing, yeah? So my head's blocked, but when I knee him in the butt, it gives me a chance to pull out as I go to do the technique. When Tim goes to backstep, I can use the Jedi mind trick early on. So I block his hips from my left hand is pushing forward against the hips as well as I'm pulling tight with my elbow. Can I just show this? My elbow is pulling tight like this. So it blocks the hips going back, but it's also pulling Tim's hips towards me. So I don't want his hips to be able to go over. If I'm underhooking like this, I'm giving him a gap to go through. So when I underhook, my elbow stays tight like this. So Tim goes to back step and I catch. Okay. I don't let his hips fall over to this side. I lift, pop my head out the back, push, and we do that same Jedi mind trick to the back. So a common question I get about the Jedi mind trick is, whenever they try to time the initial catch, they always have the person's hips landing on the far side. So as Tim goes to back step, what I'm wanting to do is catch this knee, and his hips are still in front of me. If his hips land on the other side, I then have to do follow-up attacks from reverse half guard. Okay, so what is going to help with this? There's two things, okay? Actually, there's a couple of things. First of all, my shoulder, this arm needs to be blocking the hips properly. I don't want my elbow wide where he's got more room to swing his hips over. My elbow needs to be my shoulder pushing Tim's hips forward. So even though he tries to back step, my arm does a lot of the job of keeping his hips in front, okay? Now, at the same time, I do a really subtle little hip escape. It's not massive, but my foot goes on the mat and I scoop my hips back using my bottom leg. You can see that, yeah? I use my bottom leg to scoot back, okay? So as Tim goes to back step, push back, and it makes sure his hips don't land on the other side of me as I catch the leg. Go again. I also tend to, as I bring my head back, I'm more moving a little bit high as well with my body. I find the higher I make Tim go, as he goes to back, the higher he goes, the more he's gonna land on top of my hips like this instead of over the top of the hips. If I try to hip escape this way, I find Tim's gonna get over the hips really easy. So if I'm moving my hips down, he's gonna get over my hips easy. If I'm moving my hips more in this direction, much harder for Tim to catch his hips on the other side. So sometimes I didn't have perfect positioning, and sometimes Tim manages to start his back step before I manage to get my left knee behind the hips. Again, I wouldn't free his foot if I didn't feel like my grips were amazing yet. So often I will have my legs pinched together when he goes to back step. Okay. What we're going to do here, as I just did, is now hook this leg. We go back, it's the same leg that was gonna hook this top leg, but now we're a little later. We missed the boat on that one. I keep his hips in front, still using this arm, but I'm gonna hook this leg. Okay, so I still don't want his hips landing behind me. All right, let's have a look at one other thing for this. And this is important with our grip. Our hand is on the top of the knee, hooking the inside as well to stop him going out, but I'm actually gonna push down, because if it's hard to hook the leg, I need to push it down to make it easier. Let me just give you an example of that. Tim goes to step. I might not have the range. Pull your foot up a little bit. Yeah, I can't hook here. If we go back now, same position, I can't hook. And when I push the knee down, it forces the hook. Yeah, I push the knee down to catch that hook. All right, I'm still behind his hips, stopping the hips going this way. I'm going to lift like this to free my head. So Tim's blocking my head right now. I want it out the back, and I want Tim's hips down here. So I'm gonna lift with this hook, take my head out the back, keep that foot off the ground. I don't want to let him post on this leg. I keep it off the ground, get a good far hip grip, and I start to get up while I'm still blocking him from stepping on that leg. And we should come up, nice leg drag and side control. So, Tim goes to the back step, I hook, I'm gonna lift, pop my head out the back, and force his hips down, but don't let this foot hit the ground. So just so you can see, if I don't do this, and I try to get up, Tim puts his foot on the mat, he hip escapes, wait, this way, and it's a big scramble as to who gets up. Or at least if I do get up, it's into his guard. Tim goes to back step, we pop out the back. If I keep this foot off, he can't hip escape like that. I can get a good hip grip around the hip or the waist, like this, come up. Okay, last little thing, when you come up from this, foot not out to the side, I want it like up here. It lets me get up closer to Tim. So sit up for a second. I've got the waist grip. Instead of just pushing here and getting up, now he can move his hips and scramble. I kick my right foot on the ground and I bring it up towards his head more. Okay, now I'm all the way over the top by the time he has a chance to defend. And I can consolidate the side control. Yeah, we can go here. This time, Tim's hips do get to the far side. So I was a bit late again, or maybe I tried to pummel that, or I did pummel that, but he got his hips to the far side here like this. Okay, it's gonna be difficult from here to pull his hips back over the top and do that same Jedi mind trick. So what I'm going to do here is still stay on my right side, like this, and still, like this stops him moving his hips away further as well, because I'm on my side holding the hips here. If I didn't get the hook, if I was just like this, then I would still face my side like this, sometimes even bridging to keep his hips close, hold the knee, and we can start to pummel the inside hook again like this. Almost always the inside hook first. Okay. While I'm on this side, I can then bridge, lift. This will give me room for my right hook to come nice and close to the knee and pressure in. I take my left leg out, and this one, so I'm hooking close to the shin, so the shin close to the knee, and my knee pressures in like that. So this turns similar to like our half guard sweep that we do. We're putting pressure inwards on the knee. It stops Tim from turning the opposite way to face me. I can extend from here, lifting up, and try to come on top. into a solid position. So, let's just say I'm really late, Tim backsteps, and I miss everything. Obviously, if I could have caught this hook earlier, that's good. Okay, I stay on my side. Watch this, lever the knee forward with this, and I start working to push the leg, even on the shin, just to get this hook. Okay. From here, little curl to the side, lift, and I'm gonna get my right foot in, close to the knee, turn that knee pressure in now, okay? Really hard for Tim to stop me coming up into side control.
All right, this one is a late backstep counter. So you'll see Chris is going to backstep, actually mess it up a little bit, and I end up just sitting in the half guard sweep on the other side. So I get my inside, my bottom hook, I go to change. I was about to reach under the leg, but he starts to slip. So I end up grabbing that leg, and then I'm underhooking on the other side, and I come straight up into the dog fight here like this. So I ended up advantageous.
So I just want to talk about why, when I do this reverse half guard sweep, why I need my right leg to hook close to the knee. Sometimes actually, even though it might be on the calf, my knee's close to Tim's knee, so I'm still controlling his knee, which is the main thing I want to do. But what I don't want to happen is to just hook the ankle. Now as Tim hips away, he can put his knee down towards the mat like that. Okay? So see, I'm still hooking the ankle. I could potentially even have that high, and if he's flexible, his knee goes to the mat, he's got good base. Okay? Whereas if we go back, so my hook is closer to the knee, sorry, or the line is more through the knee. So even then, again, my hook could be near the ankle, but my knee's close. When Tim tries to free that knee down, it's stuck there. Okay, so again, preferably here. That's going to be much harder for him to use that escape. So we go here, he can start to get his knee free. Here, he can't. So our first hook's actually a left leg, but we often want to then create enough room that our right foot can actually get close to the knee. Okay? I generally wouldn't actually go for it if I was here. I can feel he can escape. So I'm going to go back, rechange my leg so it's high and close to the knee. And now we can start to go. All right, when I do the reverse half guard sweep, I'd see this happen reasonably often. People get here and they try and lift with their arm first. Okay, so they grab the knee here. This is very hard. Like, my arm's just not strong enough to lift Tim's knee off the ground here. So I try and get up, and often then I can't move, and he starts freeing his foot, maybe even over the top or backwards, and I lose the position. Okay, so what I want to do is I really want to lift with my knee first. Once it's up high, my arm might be strong enough to keep it there. So once I got it there, when I get to here, even though I say I'm using my arm, it's actually like my elbow and shoulder, so it's a bit more of my core. This is going to be hard for Tim to get down. Okay, so I can use it from here, but don't grab it when it's really low and expect to get up with it. This is really difficult for me to move. My leg has to lift first, then my arm can come up if you need to finish the sweep. Tim backsteps again. I get the inside hook again, and I go to do the same move. So I get this hook, but Tim bases really wide with this leg. Yeah, so even though I get this, keep stepping wide with that leg, I might not have enough in it to actually get over. And if I keep turning, I might actually get squashed. I'll lose the leg altogether. So if he's really basing out wide with that free leg, we have to have another option. So we're here, like this. Tim starts basing out wide. What I'm going to do, this left foot is going to come through, hook Tim's leg. Let's go around here. By the way, guys, once I get this right hook I can start facing my left side, that's okay. Okay, so Tim's basing out on this left leg. I'm going to hook the shin. I'm going to grab the knee and I'm going to kick through. And then I lock up a lockdown on this leg, extend. Okay, it can be 2 feet like this, or it can be a lock near the triangle. Not a triangle at the middle of your knee, but down near the ankle towards the end of the calf. Or just a double foot grip. Okay, from here, I push away, start coming up on my hands, and I can drive on the top. He doesn't have much base, and he's in a really bad position again because of this position. Good, same thing. So, I go to sweep like this, and Tim's hugging onto my head and really basing out wide. Yeah, good, keep going, keep basing. And we can start to actually attack the Choi bar on this arm. So as Tim's starting to recover, I'm blocking. I'm gonna lock my hands together like this, prevent him from recovering this arm. This leg's gonna come over the top and open his elbow out. Rolling the shoulder, yeah? So I can't, again, using my head to stop Tim from turning his shoulder back facing up. Okay? Now see how he's about to lift his head up? If I feel like his head's about to come up, we're gonna kick that down to expose the arm. Okay? Take the wrist, and we've got the arm bar, or reverse Choi bar. Alright, so we're here and Tim manages to backstep to the saddle. Okay, this is no good, obviously, not my desirable outcome. Now, I've sat up to talk to you. If I'm doing this correctly, I was already staying on my left side, which means I'm halfway rolling out of my saddle escape. So I just need to free. I can't let Tim I definitely can't let him grab this leg. It's gonna make it way harder for me to defend. So I'm already on my side. I want to take this leg away and turn my hips in like this. So Tim's gonna be trying to hook the heel, but you see it's quite hidden. I point my toes and my leg's pretty straight. Really hard to dig the heel out like this. Very different to if my knee is bent and my foot's back like this. Okay, just look at the size of the lever. If we just, like this, massive lever to hook. Here, very hard to actually dig that heel out when I'm doing this. And my hip is turned. This is the important thing, hip out and turn. Okay, then from here, I'm retracting this leg and rolling through, and I should be able to, because I'm using my hands, I should be able to continually turn faster than Tim can follow. There he goes to the footwork. And I'm turning, and now I get my foot in, my other leg, to kick through and free my leg. So we see that as a whole. Then back step, I stay on my side, I'm already facing this way. Okay, freeing this leg, pushing if I have to, until my foot comes in, free your leg. So I've missed the back step and to catch the back step for the Jedi mind trick. Tim's managed to balance here like this, but I've managed to get a frame in here like this. So often when I get a frame, I can start to push, and even this can just be a recovery, okay? I can get back to guard from here, but I also have a chance. As soon as I frame away, I do have a chance to go towards the Berambola. Okay, so you can see the positioning when Tim's backstep. He goes here, I frame. First thing, make sure your knee, as you frame in, goes down to the mat. If my knee's through, that's the saddle, right? He's gonna have a good chance at attacking my leg or even just holding me in place. So I get my knee down, and I wanna almost hook this foot on towards the far hip, okay? Now, I'm gonna spin underneath Tim. I don't want him cross-facing me. So if I try to go towards the Berambola and he goes to my head, this is gonna be disastrous, okay? So we go back. My right hand will reach to the ribs and I flare my elbow up. So what this does, try to cross-face me here, Tim. It gives me a room to go through, but it also makes it hard for Tim to swim over the top as well, okay? Whereas if I went here, he can go over the top or through the gap and get me from there. Okay, so nice and high on the ribs like this. My left hand will start to swim underneath. Okay, from here, really important that I clear the line of this knee. So Tim, if I go for the Berambola but this knee's out, then I never actually get anywhere. So I have to get past that knee. I'm holding I'm gonna swing to hold the ankle, and I'm gonna swim this right leg over the top past the knee. So I roll my hips over and past the knee like that. We're here, my hips go through and my thigh goes deep. Thigh all the way to the stomach. Like this, okay? Once I'm there, because Tim's up on his hands, I'm grabbing the far hip. So let's just turn around a bit. Hard to do. I'm gripping the far hip here like this, okay? So my right hand's gone through to the far hip. All right, this thigh, this is a common area where people don't get to finish the Berambola, they miss it. I have to face my hips up towards the roof, stomp down next to this knee with my left leg. I'm gonna kick like this and stomp really close to my butt. My right leg's gonna pull back towards me, but stay attached to Tim's stomach, but also curl down. Okay, so both feet are curling down, but this leg's pulling towards me, like this. This leg's pushing away, but they're both stomping close to my hips. Okay, see how that exposes Tim's back to me, like this. Go back, Tim. Some really common errors with this. Yeah, let's go back to that position. Back's under, yeah. So really common errors with this. I get to here, I spin underneath and I get through. Okay, people go here, okay? If I'm here, the stomp doesn't actually expose Tim's back. My left leg has to be higher, like this, so I can actually kick and lever off this knee. So I just want to catch above the kneecap if I can. Second common error, this leg people put here. They think it's more important to push away. No, if I do this, his hips go to the mat, I'm not getting the back ever. Okay? This knee has to stay tight against the rib, the hips, so I curl and push, and this will expose Tim's back. Okay? See how my hips have actually faced this way? Now that's really important. Or if anything, at least vertical or up. A really common thing that people do, they think, I want to get to the back, so they start facing Tim's back. Now his hips go down, never getting the back. So I actually have to do more like a John Wayne style sweep, stomp down, and that exposes the back. Okay, from here, change my feet, so I get my inside hook, and take the back. Alright, so we roll through, we get our leg deep, I do my stomp and curl, and it's going to expose Tim's back. Yes, we're like this, okay? From here, both of my feet want to go towards the inside, and I want to start trying to change to like an upper body grip. So my left hand will go on the hip, right hand towards the upper body, switch my feet across. I can use this as a twister hook, extend, hook comes over, and we take the back. So one thing Tim might do, which is a pretty smart strategy, is to try and pummel an underhook from the back step. So actually, we go back one step. I've got the underhook, so that's why he's back step, because I had the underhook. Then he pummels his own underhook, so he's happy to come back over the top, and now he's got a really good position to finish the knee through. So I have to be aware of that. If he does manage to back step, I have to be aware not to let him re-pummel an effective underhook. So it's hard to, as much as I'll keep my chest close and hips close, it's hard to stop that from occurring. So I'm going to try and counter it as it does occur. So Tim starts to pummel through, and I'm going to pummel my own right hand here. This keeps his elbow open. Okay. So now, as Tim's starting to work with that, I can pummel my own underhook back as he starts to come through. Okay. So again, Tim goes back like this. He starts to pummel. I pummel my right hand, which gives me room now to pummel my left as Tim comes through. And I'm back into a better position, which is having the underhook where I can try to catch him earlier on the back step. Alright, so I'm in, Tim's managed to back step. He's in good position here, and he's trying to pass, so he's managed to get underneath this elbow. This is one of the worst spots that can happen for me on the bottom from the back step, because I can't use my arm too well here. And he wants to get, so basically he wants his arm high and his hip high as well here, like this, okay? So now my arms can't be used too well. I really want to be able to make some space, so I'm still gonna use my left foot. I'm gonna hook like this, and I'm gonna use this like curl motion and bridge. So I hook, foot goes on the mat, and I'm gonna bridge this way. See how that lifts Tim's hips, okay? It gives me a gap here that wasn't there before to start pummeling my arm back, okay? So let's look at that from the side and have a look at how his hips elevate when I do that motion and the gap that's gonna occur. So Tim, stay tight, like this, okay? It's the exact same motion as the John Wayne sweep. My hips are lifting up, so curled, hips are lifting up. Tim's staying tight, his hips are high. This sucks for me. I'm reaching around the hip. I bridge, pummel. Now, he wants the Kimura to go high, right under the armpit. Catch the Kimura, Tim. Difficult to get, okay? So don't just leave it here. Again, we bridge over, come under, nice and high with the underhook. I will often here start thinking about half guard on this leg. I've got a good underhook. It's nice and high. He's in line with me. If I allow Tim to recover back to his legs, I'm going to block this leg and start to work to catch this underhook half guard. Okay, we'll cover this double leg trap position in the single leg portion. to me, the best possible outcome from here is I get the back, and the Jedi Mind Trick is a really good one for that. So best possible outcome, I bump forward, pull back, and I hook. Okay? Then we just go straight to the back for the Jedi Mind Trick. The next best thing, because I don't want to be late to that and potentially risk the saddle, so if I can, I bump, and I'm going to come up and go for the back via this thing. If I'm a little late on the back step but still can block his hips, then I'm going to hook, pop my head out the back as I lift, extend, and start to come up for this leg drag to here. If I'm later again and he actually manages to get his hips to the far side, and we're now here, I'm not going to take his hips back over, I'm going to lift, switch. You can also use your arm as well, so it's this to come up. I go to do that, so as I go to lift, he really faces out wide. I'm going to shoot my legs through, lock up the lockdown, extend, come up on my hands to drive back and get on top. If he's get this cross face and managing to free his leg, I can start to work for the reverse choke bar. Coming over the top, taking the arm, and if he catches the saddle, I'm really late, he's got the saddle, let's turn him outside, free our legs, like so, and as we roll through, we'll kick ourselves free. There's a few ways we might end up in the dogfight. I've got the underhook from half guard, and I managed to force it up to my knees. Okay, here we are in the dogfight. I could have been doing a single leg takedown. Could be standing. I'm going for the single leg. Tim sprawls. So sprawl back a bit more, yeah. And sprawl like north-south, yeah. Okay. So we're here like this. What I want to do here, because I'm losing the leg, run around, trap it with my leg, and go to the underhook on the back. And now I've got the dogfight position from here. Let's just have a look at that from another angles. I've gone for the single leg, Tim scrolled, keep the leg, run around, step, put my knee behind, and grip onto the back. Now I've got the dogfight. Or anytime I go for a single leg, so it could be from seated guard, be like this, Tim could force me down here, like this, and we could end up in the dogfight from here, or of course, that underhook, sorry, the knee cut underhook, like so. If I can just bump Tim forward a bit, we end up in the dogfight, ready to try to upgrade our position now. Alright, so we're here in the dogfight. I've got a few options that I can do to try to finish from here. Okay, so I can start to drive through and tap the far leg. I can also, if I get a good angle, I can just tilt back and work to a single. I can do the roll under sweep. I can do the limpo. I can start to free this leg, take it on top of my hip. This is a really nice one. Limpo him out, take the back. And potentially, I can also jump to the back from here. So if Tim's driving into me like this, I can shoot my hook over the top and work to the back. Defending from the dogfight, there are a few options as well, which we need to be aware of as the person. So Tim's got his underhook and he's got my leg trapped like this. Most common one is the Uchimata. Okay, so I'm pushing down, I'm working to catch this arm and lift my leg to bring Tim back over the top, back into half guard. I can work to free my leg, square back up, front headlock. And there's also potential that I roll to attack Tim's leg here. Okay, so I can, on top, be looking to attack into the saddle and work for the heel hook. So all these things we really need to be looking out for. There's a few concepts we need to be thinking about when we're in the dogfight. First of all, I want to apply a lot of pressure into Tim. So pretty much always I want to be standing up on my right leg. If my right leg's down, there's a big chance of being swept over with the Uchimata. So I want to be up, which gives me drive to start pushing into Tim. He's probably going to be up as well, keeping this leg down and this one up. Okay, so now we're both driving against each other and we've got a battle here going on. Okay, so always apply pressure. This driving pressure is also what's going to set up a lot of our attacks as well. If you're not pressuring into them, very hard to do other things like the limp arm and so on. All right. Next, shoulder height. If Tim's using his overhook well, he's going to drive my shoulder towards the mat. Here, there's no way I'm going to drive him over like this. Okay, so I've got no power to push him and there's a high chance of being Uchimata. So when we get up, we need to be aware of that. I need to be locking. You see him pulling his shoulder down. I'm losing my underhook power. My elbow needs to be locked around the hip, and tight and back. Bring my shoulder down now. My right hand is helping resist that. Again, right hand goes off and I lose that pressure. Right hand on the mat for this, guys. Pulling back. Next, I need to keep control of this leg. A few things can do that. Sometimes for a moment you'll hold the knee if you're losing it. We'll often be using our knee like this, turning to turn their hips away. Sometimes we'll actually hook in and start to put pressure with our hips like this to maintain control of that leg while we change our grips. So one thing that's really important is my head positioning. I want to get my head underneath the shoulder and I'm always trying to tilt Tim like I'm trying to lift his head and shoulders up. Okay, this off balances him a lot. So you can see it's my right leg and my head always trying to do this. I'm also always trying to circle around like in front of Tim. So if I can do this and get in front, really easy to get Tim down even without grabbing the far leg. That's just the bonus is getting the leg, but I'm always trying to circle in front of Tim like that. Okay, it is hard if Tim's got my shoulder here and my head's not engaged. It's almost impossible for me to do that knee tap sweep. So, first technique, I am driving into Tim. I'm going to try and basically just run through him and take him down. So there's two ways this is going to occur. Either just while he's on his knee or take him down like this, or we end up in something similar to a single leg. Okay, so my head position, if I can, I want to get underneath Tim's shoulder and actually help him to lift his shoulder up off the ground to reduce some of the pressure from being towards the Uchimata. My hands on the mat, driving with my leg. I'm going to start tilting back and reaching towards his far leg. I'm not trying to take him purely sideways, I actually want to take him a little bit backwards with this. So my right leg, as I do this, is going to start coming around in front. Okay, now I'm definitely going to be able to tilt Tim down via his shoulder, gripping this leg, pulling both arms in tight. So try and keep your balance now, Tim. I should be able to take him down from here. If Tim stands up on that far leg, we can do the same thing. So I can start to come up here like this and switch to a single, especially if he loses the overhook here. Okay? While he's got the overhook, be wary about going for the single because when I go to reach for the leg, I won't have anything to grip onto. But if he starts standing up and maybe like pushing the head or changing his grip, you can definitely change to a single leg from here. We're here in the dogfight. I'm pushing my hips into Tim here like this. The harder I push and the harder he pushes back, the easier this move's gonna be. I'm gonna do the limp arm. My left arm is gonna relax and I'm gonna just bring my shoulder away, down and through. Like we're doing backstroke in swimming, okay? Try to actually bring them down so it's not just purely sideways, it's actually like down and through. I want Tim's basically to face plant. I obviously need my hand posting so I get up before he does. So again, We're here, driving, pushing, and he's posted. I come around to the back. A common problem people will is to do it, or to attempt to do it without actually driving. Okay, so if I try to do this here, thanks for giving my back to Tim. Yeah, he's got no reason why he's going to be falling down towards the ground. I really need him to be suddenly posting to deal with the fact that I'm not there anymore. I'm here, he's got something to lean on, he's out of the way. He's got to be fast, you've got to drive in to make this work. Okay, so classic action reaction. I'm standing up, I'm starting to drive, Tim's resisting, stand up, and he's driving back into me, making it difficult to take him over. I'm going to go for the roll under sweep. Now to do this, I need to make sure my foot hooks Tim's leg. At the moment I'm controlling with the knee, which is not enough. So I'm going to have to work to, probably using my hand for a moment, just get that foot hooked in here like this. Or it could be that when Tim starts balancing and moving, I trap that. Okay, so now I've got it hooked. Now I can go for the roll under sweep. From here, I'm going to roll, shoulder roll, right through the middle, pulling tight to block this arm, but it has to be on this angle, going over my shoulder, not sideways. Okay, so I'm going to go through here, reach under the leg, make sure Tim can't post with this leg, and bridge and come up. Really common mistake with this one. Really common mistake is to try to roll sideways. I go, okay, no way I'm taking him over, and now he's got me back down, and it's difficult to get back up. So when we roll under, it has to be through this angle to get through underneath. Now, I might as well do some troubleshooting while we're here on that. A common problem we'll have when you go for this roll under sweep is the person will let go and post. So I go to roll under and Tim posts. Now, if you do this wrong, because a lot of people try to bridge and they let go of the leg, often you'll end up in side control. Okay, so if I do this again, if I try to roll under without hooking that leg and without keeping it hooked, a lot of people get here and they go, okay, Tim posts, I just pulled him into side control. Okay, by keeping the leg hooked, when I roll under, Tim posts, I can come straight back up, or the fact that he's post, I can start taking my head out the back and start working behind it. Okay, either go here or I get back up to my knees, but I need to keep this leg trapped. This is a very common scenario to occur. I'm here, like this, I go to roll under, in post, and I start to come back up. I start getting back up. Grab out the whizzer, yeah. Again, if the hands are in front, I pop my head out the back. And we go again, doesn't work, start getting back up, and it might be second or third time, you either fully get up and get the takedown, or you roll back under and sweep that. Another option from here, which is I think is a safer option than the limp arm. We will use the limp arm. We're going to go for something first. Is to try to pull this leg up onto my right hip. So again, Tim's up on his base. It's hard to get the far leg for the regular takedown. So I'm going to start to drive my hips into Tim, sit back a bit, and start to turn Tim's knee out like this. Okay. I have to be careful that he doesn't free that leg, so I don't want him taking that leg out. This way, yes, good. Like that, so we go back. Just having my knee jamming against that does make that very difficult, and I'm pulling Tim's hips backwards, okay? The uchimata is a problem. So if I'm here, and I start doing this here, he might kick up and take me over. So that's why my weight is back and my hand is forward, leg's pretty far forward right now too. So I've exposed the foot. I'm leaning back. I need to be leaning back a lot because as well, and posting with this leg, because I will take my post out. Reach to the leg, pull it up on top of my hip, and then I can post back down. Once that's jammed there, Tim can't get that leg back, okay? So from here, I'm free now to, it can be actually a reasonably slow limb pump, but we're gonna take our arm out, attach to the back. I've got that pinched in nice and tight. Fast motion of that.
Yep.
This one's a little bit more difficult to do, but if I can manage to get my hips a little bit, it's a little bit more fancy, I should say, but it is quite effective and you end up in a really good spot if you get it. If I can get my hips a little higher than Tim's, like this, what I can do, I'm driving in still, as always. I'm gonna change my underhook to a high underhook, like this, step up, and I'm gonna jump my left foot over the top as a deep hook, like this. This is horrible for Tim. So it's possible from here that I roll him and we end up basically like, sorry, yeah, in like a really nice position to get something similar to a twister. Or if I'm a bit nicer, I'm gonna limp arm after I actually get my hook. So we're here like this, driving, change here. And I step over. Tim let go, but that's okay. I got the back.
Sorry, that was reaction.
I'll go a bit slow.
Do it again. So just keep that left foot up.
Yeah, so we're here driving, and I shoot this hook. Nice and high and deep, and then if I want here, I can limp arm, free my arm, or on the back. So if Tim's really good with the Uchimata, we can turn this into a roll under sweep, okay? So you can just go with the Uchimata and try to roll on top. Make sure they can't post after they take you over. So I'm gonna resist. Tim starts to kick up, roll through, and we catch him during the Uchimata to roll on top. It is a big danger that I could potentially get leg locked. The good thing is my knee's not necessarily, like he doesn't have my knee line yet. He actually has to kind of pull through with the roll to allow to get that. So all I would say, especially if I start pointing my knee out like this, it's gonna be very difficult for Tim to catch that knee line as he goes for the roll. As he goes through, I would look to hook my leg here. So just watch this again. If I saw this coming, my inside leg is gonna try to hook, or my outside leg is gonna try to help to hook my foot to the outside, like this. Now, because my foot's on the outside, Tim doesn't have access to my leg to get the leg lock. Then I just have to stop him from freeing that leg. And I've avoided the leg lock here. Okay, we're in reverse half guard. There are some options you've got from here to start trying to get on top, which we will cover in another section. So if you can, try to early flick out your shin if you sense that they're going for the roll. Yeah. Or what you want to do, switch your hips and try and flick off here. Okay. Right, again, the main principle is, if we look at that, is that I'm trying to get my inside shin, my left shin, outside the legs. Okay. If I'm outside the legs, Tim does not get to attack me with the leg lock. So stand up. So, as I said, Tim's trying to free his knee. If he gets his leg free, we're basically, my chance of finishing from here is much lower, and he can potentially square up or back away. So, as he's freeing his leg, I would, at all costs, try to keep the leg. Okay, even if you have to roll back down. So he starts to free his leg, like grab onto it. We can fall back to half, get our hook again, and then get back up while we've got the leg trapped. Like just make sure you've got it trapped at all times. All right. Really common for people to lose this this leg that they're trapping. Whenever things are a little bit, like I'm not sure where it's gonna go, I'll often do a really, an interesting thing with this hook. I tend to really push my hips down like this and curl up with my leg. So you'll see this better from the back. But I'm really like levering Tim's knee down and his foot up. So when he tries to retract his knee now, it's much more difficult for him to free that than when I'm just sitting here where he's got more of a chance to free the leg. So when I feel like this leg when I might lose control of that leg, I'll often start doing this. Okay. And that can still let me roll under and start working for things. And I often keep that pressure. This is a pressure I use also in getting back up to my feet when I start to control for the dogfight too. So, first, if I can, and if Tim's not putting much drive into me, then I'm going to start driving through Tim and taking him down like that. If he's resisting, and I feel like he's got a strong push with not a really tight overhook, we're going to do our limp pump. Okay. If he's overhooked a bit tighter, so it's a bit more of a compromised position, then I'm going to start to flare the leg out, sit back, pull the foot on top of the hip, and then we do the limp pump from there. If Tim is really working for the Uchimata like this, we can push down, and if you want, we can start to, well, he's falling over for me, but we can jump that far hook from there. That's all right. I'm not gonna do that again. I was like, you didn't do this one before. So if Tim's trying to Uchimata, but my hips are a little higher than Tim's, and I can push down, then I can come over, shoot my far hook, and free my arm for the limp pump. Off, and the roll under. If Tim's got so much pressure that I'm actually can't get any of these techniques to work, then we can go for the roll under sweep. Or if you feel like you're about to lose the leg and you want to hold back onto it, we can grab it and roll under. Okay, so Tim's driving in, we run through, and we can sweep from there.